Bases dropped on Soccer's morning show here on the SDH Network. John here, you there. Thanks for coming by, as you always do. We got a lot of things to get into this morning. It's a Wall Pass Wednesday. Tyler Pilgrim set to join us in about 10 minutes, as he always does here after the opening monologue and opening kickoff here on the morning show. Yes, we talked about yesterday front offices and not letting you know things until folks want to be loose-lipped or do whatever. We got a name, and we'll get into that name, and we'll get into front office talk and what having names out there means. We've got numbers, and we'll get into that discussion with Tyler and everybody else here as we go this morning. So once again, you still got days left in the window to get things squared away if there is the guy that you're looking for. And so we'll get into that discussion with Tyler. We got a lot of odds and ends. Obviously, Leagues Cup grid is now set. We'll go over the Leagues Cup grid in hour number 2, maybe some in hour number 1, depending on what's on Tyler's mind this morning. Obviously, we'll go back with Tyler and discuss what happened against Santos Laguna and what his listenership and viewership have been discussing, and we'll bring that information forward. Like I said, we've got some odds and ends this morning. We can go over what happened with the U.S. women's national team. We now know what the final is going to be in Paris, and we've got the dream ending for Marta. And so we'll get into what happened as Brazil took care of business. The U.S., as always, took a while, but took care of business. And so now we know what the final is going to be when it comes to Paris and what it looks like on the women's side. Some news over in Europe. UEFA is handing out bans. Manchester United looks like they might have failed PSR had they not done some things. And I know that this particular piece of information will shock you. And I guess technically this is opening kickoff, brought to us by our friends at Kickoff Coffee and kickoffcoffeeco.com. There's your QR code. For those of you who are hanging out with us on our social medias, whether it's on the YouTubes, whether it's on the Twitch, or whether it is on the 280-character app, use that QR code, get you into kick off your day. See what I did there? Kick off your day with Kickoff Coffee and kickoffcoffeeco.com. Then we'll use the code soccer down here 15. You get 15% off your purchase. They in turn take 10%. Reinvest it in youth games, youth initiatives. Very, very cool stuff from our friends at Kickoff Coffee and kickoffcoffeeco.com. So, opening kickoff, and believe it or not, we are already into Champions League and Europa League qualifying. Leagues haven't even started overseas, and that will take up some of the conversation, obviously, next week as we get you ready for what's going on with the Prem and other leagues and things. But believe it or not, we're in Champions League qualifying. And Jose Mourinho, he's with Fenerbahce now. And now we get to see how he will work in the Turkish Premier League. Took him only 10 minutes in to his Champions League defeat where before he ended up getting a card. So literally 10 minutes in, Jose Mourinho, bang, welcome to Fenerbahce. They lose to Lille in the away leg, 2-1. No real surprise there. And obviously, they're going to have to overturn that at home. Third match in his recent history with Fenerbahce. Cautioned 10 minutes in, and this is how it was phrased by the English media. By card-happy official Istvan Kovac. Cautioned inside 10 minutes. Came after Mourinho reacted furiously to a booking handed to Edin Dzeko. Kovac is known to be quick in dishing out the cards, according to our friends at TalkSport, as he showed at Euro 2024. UEFA sent the Romanian whistleblower, and I guess they mean that in the literal sense. The literal sense. Home. They sent the Romanian whistleblower home after the quarterfinals following his poor performance in the match between Czechia and Turkey. 18 cards in total, 16 yellows and 2 reds. An all-time record in the European Championships. It was deemed that Kovac had lost control of the match. He was no longer trusted to officiate another game at the tournament. But if Kovac's decision, once again, this is our TalkSport copy. But if Kovac's decision infuriated Mourinho, the former Chelsea, Manchester, and Tottenham coach would have been incensed just moments later. Brilliant play from Lille, cross into the box, hitting Fenerbahce defender Jadon Oosterwald on the back before going in the back of the net. So you get an OG already leading when it comes to Champions League qualifying and the Golden Boot. Saw his men go into half a goal down. Fenerbahce fans quick to fume over Mourinho's tactics. More upbeat in his post-match presser, reminding everyone that it's only halftime in the two-legged tie. 2-1 at halftime. So let's go to Kadikoy. Let's go with the Yellow Wave, and we are waiting for them. So Jose Mourinho waited all of 10 minutes to get a card, his first card, most recent card, however you want to phrase it. So, yeah, Jose Mourinho, 10 minutes in, bang. Welcome to the world of Jose Mourinho, Fenerbahce. Welcome aboard. So, you now have, once again, maybe the first realization of Jose Mourinho. Fans yelling about his tactics. Well, did you read up? Probably not. Did you understand what you were getting when Fenerbahce signed Jose Mourinho, other than the name Jose Mourinho? Did you sign up for that? Did you do your research? Did you go and get your Cliff's Notes? Did you get Fodor's or Rick Steves' book on Jose Mourinho? Fodor's Jose Mourinho. Rick Steves on PBS doing a Jose Mourinho half hour. Guess not. But that's what you're getting into. Just another couple of quick things here at opening kickoff. It looks like Manchester United would have breached PSR last year, but got two exceptional allowances. And a sidebar to that, Chelsea apparently is going to be chasing after the redoing of – they're going to resubmit their bid on the paperwork on the hotel that they sold to themselves, which everybody was like, nah, bro, you can't do that. And so apparently Chelsea's going to do it again. It's like some investment banker groups where you sit there and no is a negotiating point. So keep an eye on Chelsea and their books. But apparently Manchester United were in danger of PSR, but they got a couple of current allowances. Clubs are required to comply with PSR. Once again, $105 million loss over a 3-year period. Calculated up to the end of June 30, basically $105 million or $35 million a season. Everton, Forest, we knew about that. Leicester, possible sanctions for their financial dealings over the last 2 years. Remember, the championship is a little different, and so you're probably going to have billable hours involving Leicester City. Newcastle find themselves in a predicament needing to raise funds to meet PSR. Aston Villa in a similar position. However, questions raised over Manchester United's PSR. Recent investment from Ineos has seen United splash almost £100 million on Lenny Yoro and Joshua Zirkzee. Keep an eye out for your next 3D from Drew Dickinson about all this too. But finance expert Stefan Borson believes United have been spared a similar fate. Quote, United is very interesting because we do have quite a lot of information about United because of their quarterly report in the U.S., so we know that they've told us at the end of the year results will have a £660 million top line, about £140 million after EBITDA, earnings, amortization, all that kind of stuff. Bottom line, when you drag that down on the 3-year assessment, United would have failed, save for two things. One, they were given an exceptional allowance for COVID in 22 of £40 million that no other club had. Most any other club had was £1 million in that year. Don't know how they got it. On top of that, it seems they've been given an allowance for around £35 million of exceptional costs relating to the share sale to Sir Jim Ratcliffe. And according to the expert, Glazers should have paid that themselves anyway, given that they were the main beneficiary. But you know from the numbers that it was $35 million. The only way in which they can make that PSR number is to take the multiple people who run the numbers, giving those allowances. Allowances are relatively exceptional in the game. So it appears, according to finance expert Stefan Borson, that Manchester United might have been given some allowances. No, we didn't see them from Everton and Forest, but perhaps, possibly, maybe, looking at the books and the sale and COVID allowances and things, it looks like Manchester United might have made their way through PSR and navigated that with a new owner. All right. I filibustered to 9:16. It's my fault entirely. I thought that, I could get through opening kickoff at like 9:14 or something, but I found out this stuff involving our economic friend from Talk Sports, Stephen Borson, to discuss things. So that's opening kickoff. Brought to us by our friends at Kickoff Coffee and kickoffcoffeeco.com. That's your QR code for those of you who are watching, however you are watching us this morning. Click on the QR code. You get to kick off your day. Don't forget to use the code SoccerDownHere15. You get 15% off your purchase. They, in turn, take 10%, reinvest it in youth games, youth initiatives from our friends at Kickoff Coffee and kickoffcoffeeco.com. I hid the other QR code because I think I folded our sign from Alliance Nurse Corps back to something resembling flat so it won't fall down during the show. Our friends at Alliance Nurse Corps, over 30 years of experience trying to help you find your new career in nursing. You hit that QR code, and they ask, how'd you find out about them? You sit there and you answer Soccer Down Here. So once again, thanks to our friends at Alliance Nurse Corps, great sponsors across the board with us, and our friends at Kickoff Coffee, who you get to start your day. And now that I believe Tyler has settled himself into his seat, seatbelts fastened and everything, tray table full upright in lock position. You gassed up and ready to go?
I'm ready.
All right. Do you want to work backward or do you want to work forward with ideas? Do you want to go back and have the retrospective and work forward into reports, or do you want to go reports and work backward? Take your pick.
I mean, we can go with working backwards. My initial thought was, well, the more we work backwards, the more sad I'm going to be by the end of the segment, but it's okay.
When are you ever sad leaving a segment here?
I'm not. It's not because of you. It's certainly not because of you.
Okay, just checking.
No, I love coming on.
We want to make sure that folks, when they come on, that they feel like they're at home, or that everything's fine. But we don't want you leaving like, droopy dog. We want you to leave like everything has turned sideways, and you're going to be going through the remainder of your day going, God, what did I just put myself through here?
Droopy dog is a reference I have not thought about in a long time, and I'm so glad you brought that up.
Well, I mean, there are a lot of folks that after what happened with Santos Laguna, and rightfully so, you had Droopy Dog, you had Yosemite Sam with the pistols ready to go.
Yeah.
I mean, you had the Tasmanian Devil. That's people.
Yep.
So you had a bunch of different cartoon emotions or cartoon applicable emotions after what happened and we mentioned this on Monday, the effort just wasn't good enough. Bottom line, not good enough. You got bounced, and Santos Laguna, who apparently has an allergy to winning in regulation since March, still has that allergy, but they advance and they go through to the round of 32 in Leagues Cup.
My cartoon reference would have been Eeyore.
True, understood.
I was just very, very disappointed. So yeah, no, I mean, we can dive into that one. Just it wasn't good enough. Wasn't good enough from Atlanta, and it's a team you should have beat 100%. And it's one of those teams where, I mean, Atlanta has the talent, right? Like, it's not like we're talking about a untalented team in Atlanta United. I understand, no DPs. I understand all those things. But Santos Laguna is an objectively bad team. And it hurts to say that now because the objectively bad team beat you in penalties. And now you're out of the tournament while they advance forward. And they shouldn't. They shouldn't. But Atlanta shouldn't either with the way that they played both of their games. Now, DC was it had many, many more bright spots. You had things that you could take out of that game that were positive.
The public drunkenness that was attached to the life.
Yeah. Yeah, it was a little bit of maybe illegal aspects of that game in terms of what you brought into the world and probably shouldn't have, but you did.
What made through the metal detectors? Yeah,
yeah, exactly.
The X-ray machine, you've got your back. Wait, it's like, what is that? Oh, I don't know. It's okay.
Yeah, just forget you saw anything. We'll keep on moving. But Atlanta forgot they saw anything by the time they got to the Santos Laguna match, and because they just didn't bring any of the momentum they had from the week before into this one, and it looked flat. It looked like the chemistry was just suddenly not there. The passes were off. It was just kind of an ugly soccer game.
Mm-hmm.
And it just wasn't good enough by Atlanta. And they deservedly didn't make it out of the group for the second year in a row. And now they've got some work to do before they get back to MLS play.
And part of that work, dealing with another 10 days in the in the transfer window.
Silly season.
Yes, well, and that's the beauty of it, is that it is silly. Oh, okay. So you're promoting your mug and your lid. I see how this works.
Thirsty.
Cup 2 or cup 1?
No, this is cup 1.
Wow. Okay.
I know, right?
So there were reports of Steven Bergwijn being discussed, interested, kicking the tires, all that kind of stuff. So Steven Bergwijn's name has surfaced this morning. Ajax is in a world of hurt right now as a franchise, but they see Steven as an asset. And I know that a lot of us who may not have our Steven Bergwijn book of knowledge with us might remember him from a frustrating time at Spurs, where it started out hot and then faded, and it did not end well. And so he's at Ajax. And so Ajax is like, yeah, okay, cool. Anybody that wants to come and park in the parking lot and walk in the front door can talk to us. And the reports are that right now, Atlanta is a part of those that are sitting at the table behind the glass doors. And you have folks wandering around looking at PowerPoint presentations and pointing at each other and all those kinds of things, passing them notes on the table. But the early returns are that Atlanta United's number of 10 million was basically Ajax took the piece of paper and shoved it right back to that half of the table. But interest in Steven Bergwijn is now being reported.
I think this is a good sign, right, for everybody that is looking for something to hold on to, because you can go through any player's history, right, and you'll find some times where they just didn't click with the team that they were a part of. And look, Spurs are going to Spurs, and his time there, it was up and down for sure, but that's also, his career there started literally when COVID started. So take that for what it's worth. And then it just kind of was weird from there. But he's done well at Ajax. He has put up, pretty significant numbers. So for everybody that's kind of looking for Atlanta United to do something with that $50 million, this is it's a good sign, right? It's kind of something to look at and hold on to and think, all right, well, they're I don't want to say shooting for the absolute stars. I mean, Steven Bergwijn's significant for sure. And I think any MLS team would be more than happy to take him on if they needed a left winger or striker. I mean, probably more a left winger. But then it also kind of makes you wonder, like, what is the future of that left winger spot if that's the kind of rumor that's coming out?
Well, but obviously the frustration that is attached to the lack of numbers, lack of statistics that are tied to Atlanta United putting the ball in the back of the net. I mean, that would be something where right now you look at the striker position and you've got depth at striker. And I mean that in the sense of you have Daniel Rios, who has punched above his weight, and you have Jamal when he's healthy, who can be incredibly streaky and very successful at it. And so right now with those two that are there at striker, you're like, okay, there's some clay that can be molded here. And we've seen that with Daniel Rios this season. But the left side now maybe takes a little bit more of that priority, where you've gotten Pedro Amador to help you out at the back for the Caleb Wiley absence. You've got Matthew Edwards, who's been putting in minutes now. You have Alexei Miranchuk, who is coming in the midfield and the attack. And so maybe the focus does shift. If you're happy with where you are with the folks that are punching above their weight, maybe you do go to the left-hand side and sit there and go, okay, let's see if we can find somebody. Are you taking the 50 million? Are you minusing the 15 from Miranchuk, or are you including Miranchuk in that 50 until he shows up? It's still 50.
No, yeah, I think I'm just using the overarching summer window number of 50 million. But
Okay.
I mean, we'll knock it down to 35 and say, all right, cool. You still have 35 to play with.
Right.
Apparently.
Yes. Yes. Well, I mean, yeah. So you end up with that number, and so Steven Bergwijn right now it is Leicester according to Mike Verwijn of the Telegraph. So get the chance to return if Leicester and Ajax can agree to 20. And this is the chase, the art of the chase. So if Ajax, so Atlanta was 15 million euro. So if Ajax can get 20 out of Leicester, that would be the direction that Ajax would be leaning. Atlanta United in the play at 15. So the other point that I was making yesterday on the show was, Atlanta United has never been a front office that sits there and negotiates within the world of public opinion.
Right.
And traditionally, we don't know anything about players until it hits this stage. You don't, you're not going into AutoZone and staring at the tires and just, kicking them in the lobby. No, you see the mechanics putting the tires on the car. That's what you see from Atlanta United in the front office. You don't see folks sitting there going, "Oh, okay, a 185 R20, 85 R20." That's what. No, I want the 235, 25 R15. No, you're not looking at the tires. When they're putting the tires on the car, that's when Atlanta United traditionally has had names put out there in the community.
Yep.
Like, oh, okay, that's who they're chasing.
Yeah, and I think at this point, like like I said, it kind of gives you an idea of, and to your point, maybe where that focus has kind of shifted.
Yeah.
Because I think maybe when the Giakoumakis news first started happening, right, you were kind of wondering, and it just made sense that naturally you have to get another number 9. And I will still contend that I think you've still got to find, maybe it's because I'm a spoiled Atlanta United fan, but I think you've got to find somebody that's of that Giakoumakis and Joseph caliber that's going to put the ball in the back of the net when they get the chances, because Daniel Rios has been doing great. He really has. Numerically, like, you can't really complain. And then Jamal Tiare, when he, like you said, when he's healthy, he's providing something that nobody else on the team offers. And if he could just, he has 1 or 2 moments every match that he plays where it's just a step. I mean, he had the one in the Santos Laguna match where he got behind the goalkeeper and just couldn't quite get to the ball to poke it in.
Yeah.
So the building blocks are there. The fundamentals are there. Everything you need, minus maybe just that all-star, goal scoring ability, is there. However, getting nothing out of your left wing right now. And that's unfortunate because you see Sean De Silva putting forth the effort. It's just not really coming off. And it's been like that, unfortunately, most of the year. So, yeah, I mean, if you're at the point where the tires are going on the car and you're kind of getting this news, then you have to look at the front office and say, well, how much are you really willing to pay for the extra service that maybe you're getting with these tires?
Yes, exactly. Yes, one more time. Yes.
However,
when you and that's the thing. It's chasing, and this is one of the elements of a transfer window. It is chasing after a guy versus chasing after the guy. And if you're chasing after a guy, you don't want to burn that hole in your pocket on a guy. If the guy is available, and I mean capital T, capital G, top of your list, he's on the dry erase board over in the corner, and whoever it is, one comma, the guy. If the guy is there, then the question becomes, all right, with the 35, say, if everything is applied to the number, and like I said, if the Barco number is what it is, and maybe you end up getting somebody off of Rivers' roster instead because of how things are financially with the certain country right now. Maybe Borja. Just saying.
maybe.
Like I said, I'm just thinking out loud. That has no bearing on anything. But once again, if the numbers are what they are, and you max out at say 35, and Bergwijn or someone like that is capital T, capital G, as Jarrett now joins us. Jarrett, we're discussing having, say, 35 million in your pocket and chasing after a guy versus chasing after the guy. And if capital T, capital G, the guy is there, then that's what transfer windows are for. These are the decisions where front offices make their hay.
With the rumor out of Ajax.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
We were discussing Bergwijn possibly as capital T, capital G, the guy or a guy. That's where we were.
If he's the guy, go spend the money. If you got other options, go shopping. But this is the thing. I think we heard Garth Lagerwey mention it on one of the pregame shows. I believe it was the St. Louis one. That there is Atlanta is unique for him in that he has more money to spend here than he ever had at RSL or he ever had at Seattle.
Yeah,
you can and you just made a bunch of transfers, which I do. One of my hopes is that we see a pretty sizable shift in the way transfer money is handled going forward within MLS. Because if you're going to bring in, and not everyone's going to bring in 40 to 50 million every window, but it would be great if teams that do that, especially as homegrowns, are becoming more profitable to sell overseas, and as they make their dreams known and their potential moves, that you be able to profit more from it. Allow them to go absolutely ball the hell out, and if this is the move for you, then go ball the hell out for it. We'll see. I mean, it sounds like there is actual smoke to it. 15 got shot down, but I don't know, Tyler, what are you comfortable with in terms of an amount here? How high are you willing to go?
I mean, you do have the luxury, right, of that extra little bit of money that no other MLS team has really ever had before. However, again, that's still a lot of money. That is still a lot of money. And yeah, I mean, as far as there being smoke to it, absolutely. There's definitely, I think there's definitely some interest, right? There's definitely been some, you're not going to get a report like that without there being interest.
Yeah.
Are you queuing up the however? I didn't know if I needed to strategically pause.
No, hey, all you got to do is call for it.
But no, I do. You need production on that side, right? You also need somebody that's going to want to be here. And if you're looking at the way Garth kind of presents himself and the way he has presented himself, both at Seattle and since he's been here, he said he wants to build, long term. Giakoumakis kind of threw a wrench in that. So whatever. But if you could lock down a guy like Bergwijn and he's happy here, wants to be here, and you have $35 million kind of sitting there, I don't think you should be off put by 5 or 6 million, because I do think he could come to MLS and do very well. I don't want to say tear it up, because it's always a roll of the dice when you're coming to a new league. But I mean, he's done well over the past few years. And I just think you've got to, at some point, you've got to shoot somewhat big, right? We talked about that before you got on, Jarrett, but it is nice to see that they're going for, not just a big name to be a big name, but a guy that probably fits maybe what they're trying to do here, in the sense that they don't have production coming out of the left wing, and this guy will give you that for sure. So
and can play up top if you need to as well.
What's that?
It gives you flexibility. He can play up top if you need him to as well. Yeah, man, it's and I'm glad you mentioned it, Tyler, and I think you hit on it. You want guys who want to be here, want to be part of the project. Really felt like at the end of it, and on his way out the door to Cruz Azul, that Giakoumakis didn't want to be here.
Yeah,
he had made up his mind. And if you don't want to be here, fine.
Bye.
We'll pack your bags. We'll take you over to Garrett or Hartsfield. Throw you on a plane. Hell, man, we'll give you a stipend. You can go to the good Popeyes in the airport for all I care.
Yeah,
go to duty free and have fun.
Get you a $25 piece of chicken.
Yeah, man. Hell, man, we'll find you a Sparrow if you really want it. If you want to go full America. But yeah, and I'm glad you hit on it though, because it's guys you want that want to be here. But this is the kind of he fits for me the archetype that you are looking for with that big spend. Like if I'm going to spend that kind of money, then I want somebody who checks those boxes. Attacking player, generally left side, can play up top if you need to. 26-year-old, plays for his national team, has played in big places before. I believe he made $4 million a year at Spurs.
Yeah.
So you would be giving him a sizable raise, but he fits the age and profile that I want to be looking for. So like, if 15 is below what you maybe expected to pay, fine. And that's not that.
But are you going to go into the glass conference room with a closed door with your top figure? I mean,
no.
That's the thing. It's like you go in. It's like
this is negotiations. This is the thing that pisses me off to no end. Because we had this about Maranchuk. We had this with the Giacomakis thing as well. Look, man, there's a sucker born every day, but this whole idea of everybody overreacting on social media to the first number that comes across the board and deciding that is gospel just pisses me off, man. Because yeah, like you're gonna throw a low number. Cruz Azul threw a low number at you. The first number that comes across, if you're going to be insulted by it, I hope to God that you are never involved in negotiations of things.
Yeah.
Because you're going to try and snow somebody.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to try and snow you. You are going to try and snow them. You're going to come to the table and you're going to find a number. I guess my thing is, if you go get him and you ball out for him, cool. I hope he does well. If you don't, I hope it is someone in that same profile, like mid-20s, big producer, big name, probably going to be national team or national team adjacent, but that's the kind of guy. I'm glad they're shopping in this aisle, if that makes sense. I know that's kind of a generalized statement, but if you're shopping in this aisle, good.
All right. Pause. News from up I-85.
Oh.
Tim Ream official to Charlotte.
Okay, I have questions about this.
Sure.
I like Tim Ream a lot, first of all. I think, let me get all the good things out of the way first.
Go for it.
I like Tim Ream. Tim Ream's been really good for, 36 years old?
Yes.
Outstanding for the national team. Outstanding in Europe. Charlotte has done what I thought they would, and that they've gotten better and better as the season goes along. Dino's done a really good job. That defense is real damn good already.
Well, when you got Christian Kalina helping to bail you out.
Well, but not even just that. Like, as it's gone on, they've solidified defensively.
Melanda and the like, yes.
Where's the 10? Charlotte. Where's the 10?
Oh no, we can't do that. No.
I feel like they're slowly, very slowly morphing into Nashville 2.0. Like, like I know that might offend some people that maybe aren't watching the show, but that's okay. I mean, you got a defense that, I mean, it's going to stand up. You got Tim Ream back there, and he's going to do his thing, but you're going to have, at some point, they're going to sign that one guy that's going to be up top, and he's going to have to put the entire goal scoring apparatus on his shoulders, and it might work for a while, but I don't know. It just doesn't seem like it's sustainable. That being said, they've been much better this season overall, and they're higher than Atlanta right now, so I don't have room to talk.
Yeah,
but. No, I mean, they've done what I thought they should have done this year, which is to go defensive, and they kind of did the Frank de Boer thing of like, we're gonna solidify this defense, then we'll work on the offensive side of things, and it got Frank torches and pitchforks in this town. I'm glad that Dino's getting more support over there.
Contract through 2026 with an option for 27.
It's fine. It'll be 38, I think, at that point.
38, if not 39, if the option gets kicked in. Charlotte puts out a release. Tim Ream has a couple of statements, a couple of sentences that add to a paragraph. Ream eligible for selection for the club's next match against Red Bulls on the 24th. Z-Man, GM Zorn Cornetta, quote, Tim's been a rock at the back for Fulham for the last decade, proven himself as one of the best central defenders the United States has ever produced. Premier League and World Cup credentials speak for themselves. and he's been ever present in big moments for club and country. Comes to us in good form and upgrades an already excellent defense, as Jared said. As we prepare for the final stretch of the season to qualify for the playoffs, Tim is the type of player who is hungry for trophies, and he can help us push for our first one. He's a leader on the pitch and in the locker room, being an invaluable mentor to our younger players. Signing an established U.S. men's national team player is a major milestone for our club, and we're delighted to welcome Tim to Charlotte FC, end quote. Last 9 seasons with Fulham, 312 appearances, secured promotion on 3 occasions, 33 Premier League appearances in 22-23, finished top half of the English top flight first time in a decade. Stats, promo photo. Began his MLS career with Red Bulls after being selected 18th overall in 2010, 65 appearances for Red Bulls before securing a move to Bolton Wanderers. So official through 26, option for 27. And I know that folks in Charlotte are probably trying to keep their head down and hoping that this does not turn into Christian Fuchs 2.0.
No, I don't think so. Especially the way they play and kind of like in the same sense of like Frank de Boer's system back in the day.
Yes.
Protected guys like Michael Parkhurst, whose legs were not what they used to be, but whose brain was one of the best soccer brains we ever saw on the field in MLS.
Mm-hmm.
I think that Dino protects a guy like Ream because of the way they play. Like, he's not going to be asked in most situations to be like playing suicidally up the field and having to sprint back and defend 1v1s at a full canter. He's just not going to be living that life. He'll be fine, I think. Like, that's fine. The move's fine. I just like, where's the 10?
Yeah.
And where's your Mukhtar?
Where's
yeah, exactly.
Where's your Mukhtar?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you got to bring him in at some point.
Yeah.
But they brought Spadersky.
Dude, how much would Nashville love to have Patrick Ajimong, though?
Oh.
Like, Sam Surridge scored the other night for Nashville in their League Cup match.
He did what?
He scored the other night for them. But
did
like, man,
what?
Patrick Ajimong is like the dude that Nashville needed for years.
Mm-hmm. Capital T, capital D. Ajimong is the dude. Okay, so that broke, so I wanted to put that and insert that into the show. So, okay, couple questions. Let me put the bookmark back into Atlanta United. I'm pulling the bookmark back out. Emilio with a question. Do you have any confidence that any winger outside Saba can be successful here under the current staff?
Yeah, because I think, you know, what Jarrett said, you're shopping in the right aisle, and the right aisle is a guy who can come in and along with Renchuk, you're going to kind of, and I know Rob is pragmatic. There's the word again. Pragmatic.
But you mean that in a different context than what folks naturally assume.
Yeah, I guess I've always looked at pragmatic as a positive thing, but maybe it's because I look at it in soccer terms of where I'm always fighting against coaches that aren't flexible.
Yeah.
And so, like, to me, it's a positive thing. I mean it positively, absolutely. Like, I think nowadays, especially, you have to go into soccer matches. Like, you can't just have one size fits all. You have to go in and play the team in front of you. And sometimes the team in front of you is the Red Bulls, and sometimes the team in front of you is, you know, Wooden Spoon Cincinnati.
Oof.
And you can't play them the same way. You shouldn't play them the same way. If you do, you might win both games, or you might win one amazingly and get torched in the other one.
So what you're saying is you can't do this.
No.
Not
at all.
You can't go there. Okay.
No, never. You can't rush in and then go eat your chicken afterwards. But no, like, pragmatic, I think it's just you've got to I don't know. I was going somewhere with it. I had a point I was going to make.
Well, the difference of being pragmatic in the connotation that a lot of us have when it comes to being pragmatic and taking game state for what it is and adjusting appropriately, instead of pragmatic being Philadelphia-ish negative, Red Bullsian negative. I don't want the ball. It's got cooties. I'm going to launch it long and have you do all the work. There's a difference in negative pragmatism and the pragmatism that you have first and foremost when it comes to your interpretation of the word.
Yeah. a guy like Bergwijn is going to come in, like I said, and Marinchuk, they're going to, I think, by default, kind of have the team mold to what it is they're trying to do, right? I'm not saying take the team over and like completely redistribute the ideas and the identity. That's not what I mean. But I think if you get guys like them, you're going to naturally play to their strengths. And their strengths are, one's a very strong winger and can play up top. And the other one is, from everything we've seen, a very much playmaker, attacking midfielder with a bomb left foot. And so you have to be pragmatic, play to those strengths. And so I don't think it's a matter of just, taking this triangular block and putting it in the triangular hole here and saying, all right, well, we got a winger that is going to go do winger things. You're going to have a winger who's dynamic and do what he needs to do to be successful, which is play smart football and adapt to the guys around him and have the guys around him, specifically Rios, Pedro behind him, adapt to kind of what it is he's trying to do. And so I know that's like a very long-winded way of describing it, but I don't think
we got a 2-hour show, dude. Come on.
A plus B equals C type deal.
Yeah. So then, Jarrett, the other question that Emilio has, if you end up getting Bergwijn or a Bergwijn-ish type individual with the money that you have on hand, would there be money for a prime striker?
Yeah, I don't think money's an issue here. You made almost $50 million in the window.
Right.
You spent, what,
15.
Spent 13 to 15 million on one of them.
Yeah.
Let's say, okay, let's pretend like we are Monopoly and we have to like make sure we put break even. Let's say you go and spend 20 million on somebody else. That's 35 million. That still leaves you 10 to 15 million to play with for a striker in the offseason or a left winger in the offseason, depending on how you played this. You have money to burn. That doesn't include U22 spots that you might want to use down the road, as you might have at least 1, 2, or 3 of those open for next year. God only knows. You'll have money to burn. You will be able to spend 8 figures on 2 other guys if you want to, and by God, I think you should want to, because if you are going to be not necessarily just investing in guys to turn over like you've done with Almada, like you did with Amidon, and you want guys to be here for the long haul in their prime, then yeah, when you make that investment with the idea that guy will be here for 5 years, give or take, maybe more. And you'd love to have those sort of situations of guys who are wanting to stay and be part of the project, but they got to want to be here. And you got to be okay with figuring out salary, and so you don't run into any weird situations. But that a lot of times takes 2 people coming to the table and being adults about it.
Now, what the number that came with the Giacomakis deal inbound, if I'm not mistaken, it was £4.33 million to bring in, so a little over $5 million. So I think that as we workshop this, you can find the quality striker, and you don't have to burn. Let's just say, like I said, with math, 50 minus 15 gives you 35. Miranchuk in. Let's say you find a winger for 20. That leaves you 15. You found Giacomakis for 5. So I think that finding a quality striker, you're not going to need to spend that entire 15. I think that you could have spent more bringing in a Miranchuk at 15 and a winger for 15-ish. You can find a quality striker to fit what you want to do. Atlanta United did that by dropping only 5 to bring in Giacomakis in the first place. So I think that finding the winger is where you might end up having to spend more money. When you got your attacking mid for 15, you might have to spend the same amount on the wing. You can get that striker that you're hunting for that fits, Tyler, for that less than 15 figure, if that's the number that you want to deal with being left over.
Yeah, and like 2 things, I guess, kind of come to mind. One, a winger or an attacking midfielder, whatever, one of those guys, they're naturally, if they are what they are claimed to be, they're going to typically make the guys around them better, right? a striker, it is a little tougher for a striker, not impossible, but a little tougher for a striker to be the guy that makes those around him better, because he has to be the one getting the ball. And if he's not the one getting the ball, then he has to go do a whole lot of extracurricular activities to get the ball, and then he becomes less effective. As opposed to a guy providing service, right? Like we saw it with Almada. We hope we see it with Moranchuk. And then obviously if Bergwijn is another one. They're going to be the ones putting the ball into Rios. They're going to be the ones putting the ball into Jamal Tiare. And that admittedly has been part of the problem, is that the service that they're getting hasn't always been the best. They can both finish. Are they the best finishers in the world? No, they're not. But like, I think with a little bit more refinement on the ball that's being played into them, I think their numbers would probably be much higher than they already are. So you've got to go, I think, and yeah, the bigger money has to go after the guys that are going to provide you a little bit more of the playmaking ability, because it's, to your point, it's been proven that you can find the goal scorers, right? You just have to trust your analytics, and you have to go after maybe a little bit of the hidden gem. Not that Giacomakis was necessarily hidden.
And then you had Joseph, who
right out of nowhere.
So those examples are there about finding a guy who ends up eventually turning into the guy, capital T, capital G, up top as your striker.
Yeah. And then the other thing too is, like, we keep throwing around the $50 million number, but $50 million is not what Atlanta is limited to. $50 million, you should be able to, if you are a good steward of the money, you should be able to turn a lot of this team around with $50 million. However, you beat me to it.
However, yes.
Wait,
hang on.
However,
there you go. Thank you.
You aren't stuck at just spending $50 million. The club has money. Like, it's not that they're just stuck with the $50 million and that's all that they can spend. Like, they have money that they've
got only $50 million to spend.
They could go after. I know, right? Like, it's such a first world problem. So that's not your budget. Like, if you were to find, like you said, capital T, capital G, like the guy, and for whatever reason, the money that you have wasn't quite enough out of that $50 million to make it happen.
Right.
I'm sure Arthur Blank is not going to have a problem with reaching into his pockets a little bit to pull out a little bit more and say, all right, cool. If he's going to be the guy that's going to change things up, absolutely, here it is.
Well, and there's also news involving the Blank family and Atlanta United that we'll get into as well later on. There's been some adding of titles to business cards involving the Atlanta United family and the Blanks. David, you can have $3 million a game from Wiley. You can spend the highest non-DP salary on each. What is that transfer number? 1.3 million salary on a free, without no transfer and a question mark. David couldn't recall the directions the rules have moved. DP winnings and positive net transfer was or is not convertible to GAM, so some of the money might only be usable on DPs. Okay, I went to look. Go for it, Jared.
So the gist of how this could work in this offseason is, and I think Garth touched on this in a pregame thing as well, so for every time someone complains that Garth doesn't talk, go listen to the pregame show, because he generally goes on there and spreads some gospel.
Yeah.
So the way Atlanta built the contracts with a number of their TAM guys, they front or backloaded them accordingly to create space. So you had Sabas that was front loaded. He was a DP. He's not a DP anymore because you front loaded it with the transfer costs. Stian Gregersson's was kind of mid loaded. So that's why Stian is technically a DP this year, because you didn't bother buying him down. But after the season, you'll have basically paid the transfer costs, and then he goes to a TAM player.
Right.
And next year, Bartosz Lisz would have been a DP because you backloaded his contract with his transfer cost. But with the money that you get from Wiley and the fact that it's $3 million now, and MLS finally got off their ass and wised up and started giving clubs more money who were trying to develop players and sell them on and grow the product. Because of the way that worked, you can take that $3 million and apply it to Bartosz Lisz and then buy him down in the offseason if you want to, going into next year, and that frees up another DP spot. I don't know if that answers the general question, but that's generally how that $3 million could get spread around, is that because you front, mid, and backloaded contracts in a unique way, that $3 million allows you to buy out the backload on Bartosz Slić, so he would not be a DP, which means that you have 2 DP slots. Well, 1 DP slot open now that Maranchuk is official.
Right.
You have 1 DP slot open. You would have another one open up going into 2025. Now, however you want to shop in the winter window is between you and God. Carry on.
Yes. The rules. Clubs can now convert up to $3 million of total transfer revenues received into GAM without restriction on the amount from any individual player transfer. Under previous rules, clubs could only convert up to $1.2 million plus another 15,000 or so. Second model, once again, you can take with your roster construction, and it starts with this window. You can do it one of 2 ways. You can go, since you have 6, what Major League Soccer is referring to as prime roster spots, and yes, I'm using air quotes. What you can do is one of 2 things. You can either go 3 DPs and 3 U22s, or 2 DPs and 4 U22s, and then get $2 million added in GAM to that. So that's the choice that you have with that. The increased GAM, once again, as Jarrett said, can buy down a player's salary budget charge. You can sign new players, re-sign existing players, or offset acquisition costs. In 24, clubs that elect to do the 2+4 instead of the 3+3 can introduce up to $1 million in added GAM due to the midseason implementation. So if you choose to go 2 DPs and 4 U22s, you get another $1 million in GAM if you want to go that way. Then the DP rule and the U22s, once again, you've got 6 roster spots. You can sign up to 3 DPs. You can exceed the maximum salary budget charge. And the DP rule was established back in 2007, the Beckham rule, basically. So you have choices as to how you want to apply this. And if you want to go 2+4, you get another $1 million in addition to the 2 or 1.8 that the league gave you now to add to everything here. So at least the league is walking itself forward to help out those that want to invest in themselves and giving options as to how you want to build, Tyler, as we're going here.
And it kind of like it'll change rapidly in terms of like what each club does, right? Because you're in the summer transfer window, and right now, I mean, it may not make sense for you to, like, if Atlanta, for example, were to go out and for whatever reason only get Maranchuk during this transfer window, it makes no sense to settle for the rest of the year for the 3 DPs because you don't have 3, you have 2. So you can assign the 4th U22 or whatever you have to do there, even if you don't actually assign it, but you have it, but then you get that extra $1 million in GAM. So, but then in the wintertime, then you reevaluate and you go into 2025 and you make that decision, which I imagine, knowing Garth and his philosophy, is probably going to be 3 DPs, 3 U22s, spend the U22 spots on low risk, potentially high reward guys, but get the DPs as that aisle Jarrett talked about shopping in. You want those guys here for the long term, and build the team around those 3, and then hope that the 3 that you get for U22s can be guys that can be giving you significant minutes, even if they're not always starting. But when they come on, they give you something, and maybe they can work towards it, because the U22s as well, that's an investment, right? Like Edwin Mosquera, if you can continue to develop him, he's on a 4-year contract. He could potentially be a guy that gets transferred out, and it may be a smart business decision in the long run. But that's kind of how I look at it. I don't know if that's how Garth looks at it. That's my football manager kind of mindset. But that's kind of how I see at least the short term going for Atlanta.
So this 45 minutes went by in a hurry. I looked at the clock and I'm like, man, we've already hit hour number 2.
Because we're having fun.
Well, yeah, that's what we always try to do here on the show, and we try to inform, have fun, elucidate, elaborate, and have fun, and all that kind of stuff. So, what's going on with Scarves and Spikes? What's the latest?
Well, your good friend Jason will be on tonight.
So I've heard. Yes, I've heard of
chatting.
Him. Yeah.
We need y'all. I know, like, we just kind of go through, but y'all are gonna have to make a trip to the nighttime show.
It's doable.
Come hop on and have some fun with us.
I mean, all you got to do is go. That's all you got to do. All you got to do is basically, seriously. I mean, look, you know me. As long as the boss sits there and is like, no, we got nothing going on.
Penny.
Sheldon.
I mean, that's all you got to do.
Yeah,
that's all you got to do. We'll have fun and we'll chop it up and we'll try to sit there and I'll try to make as the least amount of sense as humanly possible when it comes.
Good, because by that time it's whatever after dark, and you
Yes.
can make as little sense as you want to. So, no, we'll make that happen for sure. But no, tonight it'll be us, Jason. We're just going over Atlanta, chopping it up, figuring out everything else with what Atlanta can do in the next 3 weeks while they're off, and yeah, we'll have a couple of articles coming out over on scarvesandspikes.com.
Okay, so Scarves and Spikes, and if they want to buy the lid, they want to buy the mug, where do they go? Website?
Yep, scarvesandspikes.com. That's the easiest way. You just click on the little shop link.
The little shop of horrors.
Yep.
Where you can buy all that stuff. As always, my friend, it's great to come and have you come and chop it up with us on Wednesdays, where sometimes we talk soccer for the full 45 minutes, and then other times we come up with deep analogies that only some of us can get, and the others have to go to Google searches and find out, because I'm not as hip as you or Jared. So be safe, my friend, and have fun with that guy named Jason, and we will catch up with you on the flip side.
All right, sounds good. See you.
There goes Tyler, and that's it for hour number one. One of the other things, and believe it or not, we are doing the hot tag. It is the hot tag. Tyler is out. Dylan is in. And as always, Dylan, it's great to have you in. Has school started up there yet?
No, we are still in our summer camp festivities right now. So.
So all right. So what's you and Jarrett, knowing what it's like to have individuals running around the house that rule the house.
Buddy, I survived. Mine started today. I survived summer. I'm officially done. I survived.
Yes.
And I'm looking forward to what it's. I'm less than a month.
Okay.
Oof.
That was what That's what I was wondering, is because down here, the school buses, they come running by the house at 7:00 in the morning. So that when that happens, we know that school's back in session. And I didn't know where the busiest man in the Northeast was with camps and getting ready for school and all that kind of stuff. So that's why I asked, since we're back at it down here.
Yeah, and along those lines with broadcast and football, and I know that's earlier for you than for me, but I think in 20 days we have a big Catholic High School Football League preview show, which is going to be, this is super fun, at the site. So we're going to be live on location from one of our sponsors, Blaze Pizza.
See, I was going to say it better be an eat 'em up joint.
So the incentive for these football coaches and their very hungry football players is, you get to join us, you get to be live, you get to be on Varsity Media's YouTube, and we will feed you.
See, but you have to make sure, though, that they're not. Well, are they going to be able to eat on camera? Do you allow them to multitask like that, or are they going to?
No, they'll get there. I think we myself and my broadcast partner John Perez will probably be doing a live food review.
Okay.
For Blaze Pizza, but we will allow the players and everybody to kind of eat off cam and come on camera and talk a little football. So
okay. In hour number one, we were discussing transfer window and specifically reports coming from the other side of the Atlantic about a guy, Steven Bergwijn, being in the discussion with for Atlanta United, and Ajax sitting there and going, "So Leicester, what you got? Atlanta United? 15 million? Not so sure. Hey Leicester, if you can go 20, then we'll be interested." But right now, 10 days left in the window, and 5 if you're Canadian. But
that's window, huh?
Well, I know, and that's. Do you anticipate when by the next time that we catch up, will this be a sprint to the end of the window, or are folks where folks are holding things kind of close to the vest a little bit, and then everybody just sits there, right there at the buzzer and goes bang, 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 bang? Or is this going to be? Are you anticipating more movement here? Or is this going to be the stand pat summer window for you?
No, I think it'll be one of those two where I think so much will happen near the deadline that we'll get things trickling, hours or if not even a day after the window closes, like that old, the official trade comes in on the fax machine kind of thing, but it's not.
It's not the old days of refreshing MLB transfer rumors.
I suspect. I think it'll be both. To be honest, I think it's going to be. We're watching Olympics, right? So what is it? The 100-meter, right? Like sprint to the end, but also a lot of activity at the end.
Okay, so we're looking at a Noah Lyles, Gabby Thomas kind of a thing. Jarrett, first question for Dylan Butler as we tour Major League Soccer.
Yeah. Aside from this chaos that we've been discussing this morning, is there any club you're looking at other than this one in their chaos? Any club you're looking at in MLS to be keeping an eye on with their transfer strategy for the summer that could be making huge waves?
Yeah, I mean, a few, right? Charlotte obviously just got their long-awaited business done, right? Getting Tim Ream. That became
Where's the scorer, though, man?
This morning, 100%. That's what I'm saying. That's why I'm not. They're not done. Would anticipate more moves from them. Trying to think. It's all about, right? Like who's got DP spots. I would love for really either of these two teams in my neck of the woods, but the Red Bulls also desperately needing a 9. There were rumors they had that guy locked in, and then there were rumors that maybe that didn't materialize or that deal fell apart. So, I think this should be. I mean, it's kind of been slow to this point, so it's underwhelmed. But I think it should be, one of the more interesting transfer windows because there's so many teams that have put themselves in situations to spend in this window and are in the mix for playoff spots, right? Very few teams are like out, right? Teams are either trying to get, from the top, you're trying to win the Shield and there's a few contenders for that. Mm-hmm. You're trying to get that home match or matches in the playoffs, right? So teams are battling for that, and then they're battling to get above the line. So I think there's so much juggling for positions among such a really the majority of the league, which look, the powers that be love that, right? So I think there should be a good amount of activity. There's a lot of teams who have set themselves up to spend this time of the year.
So then we'll put the LA teams off to like the next question from Jarrett. But the rearranging of the deck chairs in New England and all caps with Kessler and Parker. That one I was like, I literally had the question mark and the thought bubble over my head because I had initially thought that, okay, you're getting rid of Kessler. That means Peyton Miller gets more minutes. Caleb Porter looks like he's going to the youth movement with Revs 2, with Buck and Bayraktarovich and Miller. And then you trade for Parker and you bring him at the back. So to me, it just looked like you were swapping one trip to IKEA for another. It didn't make a whole lot of sense.
Are you a big fan of IKEA, by the way?
The meatballs, yes. The shopping and the furniture, I have no idea.
Yeah, I've heard. I haven't had the meatballs, but I've only heard good things about them.
Yeah, so and that's kind of where I am. But it's like you asking me about shopping. I'm just like, look, do it online. Go to Mattress Firm, and I'm done.
But they also got Luca
Long. Try and get you through there quick, bud.
Yeah, I know.
But New England also, right, got Langoni from Boca. So they were in a, like you were wondering, like, are they in punt mode? Like you said, are they just going youth and let's rebuild? But then they start making some moves where you're like, maybe they're going for it here. And again, they're not, like I said, there's few teams who are out of it, and they're not out of it, right? Like they made a bit of a run.
Yeah, they're in the 8-9 street fight in the West. Yeah. And East. Yeah.
So I think it would seem like they're going for it.
Jarrett for Dylan, go for it.
How is it that the rich keep getting richer and that Cincinnati, Columbus is out here grabbing like River Place young players, and they just I had questions because I know there are leadership changes on the horizon with Columbus, and it's so hard to stay on top in this league. But what is the deal with this team that keeps getting richer and keeps getting more talent in?
And I love it. I love the usage of the word there, right? Like the rich get richer. I love that you use that here, because it wasn't too long ago where Columbus, right? They were a team that didn't spend a lot, right? Like, you weren't sure who they were and what they were doing, and then they start getting they start splashing cash, and they go and they get bold. I mean, you dare say, I mean, it's apples and oranges a little bit, because even only this league changes so much in only a couple of years, but and maybe it's the Bezbatchenko influence, but they started spending a little bit like old school Toronto, right? Like, but they're getting these young guys, and obviously too, they realize they can do quite a good bit of business. Like, I mean, look at Miami, right? Too, with I don't think that's been official yet, right? With Gomez, but
right.
Man, you could you can make some coin, right, as a club. So you start to prove, and you start to I think it only takes one or two guys, and that in Atlanta, right? Like, if you have that early success and you had it right away with Almiron, like, now those agents and the scouts that you have, now you've got a success story to point to, right? So they're not just going out on a limb and taking a leap of faith. That there's proof there that we can go to Major League Soccer, we could play for a couple of years, and then go to a bigger club, or in Gomez's case, a couple of months, and go to a bigger league and make more coins. So kudos to Columbus for continue to doing that, and pushing. I'm all about like we've had this conversation before. Not in the baseball sense, maybe that is the way, but like for me, it's parity is in a lot of ways exciting, and you get all these different races, but I am all about, like, forget the teams that are spending at the basement, right? Mm-hmm. Let's push the envelope and make those teams spend, right? Like, spend above, do the luxury tax, whatever it is. Because I think the further that you push the ceiling up, now the teams that are at bottom don't want to have that massive gap. So I think it's going to force, you would hope, almost like heat rising, right? Like, you would hope that it would rise the teams who don't spend a lot to do so. Insert
John Fisher joke here. Yeah, because he's locked into his Sacramento baseball club instead of the San Jose Earthquakes. You mentioned folks that are not afraid to spend money. Let me go to LA here and discuss both.
Which one?
Both of them. Both. Legitimately, I mean, you had LAG sits there and go, okay, Marco Royce. And they paid, apparently, possibly, probably, allegedly, perhaps, $350,000 to Charlotte to reclaim dibs, which is the dumbest rule on the planet for me. The dibs rule for Major League Soccer. It's like, literally, I'm going to put dibs on, Cristiano, Jude Bellingham, whatever. And then 10 years down the line, somebody wants to bring Bellingham to Major League Soccer. They got to pay San Diego, whomever, $600,000 in Garber bucks just to get the dibs rights away from the team that's got them. But apparently, reports are $350 to Charlotte for dibs and reclaiming dibs so they can sign Marco Royce. Then seeing that down the 5 or wait, up the 5. Sorry, yeah, up the 5. Up the 5 to downtown Los Angeles. Now there's a discussion, and it is regarded as an eventuality in all reports. It may not necessarily be in this window, but it will be in some window, that Griezmann to LAFC to go hang out with his buddies, the most handsome man in Major League Soccer, Olivier Giroud, and Hugo Lloris. And so literally, I always wonder in these situations how you're going to fit all this stuff under the cap, but we all know that NIL, especially with what's going on with Messi and friends, the equivalent of NIL deals can make stuff like this happen more than it has in the past. But you've got the teams in Los Angeles who are sitting there going, you know what? We're shiny. We're just going to keep chasing after these kinds of folks. And so now you're hearing Marco Reus and Antoine Griezmann being added to the mix out in Lipstick City.
Yeah, it's kind of like, you're driving down the 5 and one's got like a Bentley and you're like, that's a nice car, but I have an Escalade. Or like, just like trying to outdo each other. But I love that. That's my point. Like, let's go, go ahead. There's no one formula, right? Like a Columbus can wow you with the young guys, from River or Boca or Cucho coming in and the LAs are like, I see that. And we also have those kind of guys, but now we're also going for, French World Cup winners and, trying to, you can't really one up. There's no one upping Miami at this point, but joining that, arms race, if you will. And again, I wish the 2 New York teams would have similar aspirations as well. Listen, Forsberg, I think, was a phenomenal signing, right? Unfortunately, he's still in a protective boot. He's still going to be out for a little bit. For me, like, you always joke about Dylan Butler Estates. I think if I can get Chris Henderson aboard at Dylan Butler Estates, I would say my formula, it would be, I hate to, kind of like all the above, check that box, but like, I want to have a strong academy. I want to have those pipelines into Argentina and into Colombia and Paraguay and get those young guys.
Yeah.
But then also, a guy or two to put butts in the seats as well, right? So, I want to have.
You just want Kevin De Bruyne to come to Dylan Butler Estates for year 1. I know you.
Oh, that might happen.
See.
Well, he might be in that on the same jet with Pep.
This is what I'm saying. Jarrett, go for it.
I guess as we get through this now, some teams have a month, almost a month off to think about what they've done as they sit in the corner and wait for the league.
What have we done?
Yeah, pretty much. As we sit here and think about what we've all done,
or like Bad Dog, what did you do?
Yeah,
Go sit in the corner. There's your dunce cap. Go sit in the corner.
No, people are definitely rubbing our nose. We lost at home to Santos Laguna. Of course, our noses are getting rubbed in it. I guess which teams are you looking forward to the most, with the most, I guess, curiosity for the stretch run of the regular season after Leagues Cup?
Yeah, you know what? Like a team that I was not high on or not even, like, there was no heat map on them at all for me, was Austin. And, now we see what they're doing in Leagues Cup, right? Like, I think Leagues Cup is interesting for some teams because, like, it's giving some of them like that second chance, right? To maybe get on the trampoline and get going for the stretch drive of the regular season. I don't think that's going to be the case for San Jose, certainly, but
no.
But like, in Austin's a good example, right? Like, I didn't, I wasn't high on them at all, and granted, tough matchup in the round of 32, but they're one of those teams that I'm interested in, that maybe wasn't performing up to Leagues Cup and now, using that as a platform. I think that could be one of those teams.
Who then, on the flip side, who is going to be in this break?
By the way, New England, another one of those.
There you go. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, so then on the flip side, who is going to rue this break? And it's not going to do them any good. And we talked about the street fight that is the Eastern Conference. And so I think that pretty much whatever your run is in the East is, whatever your run is, considering that you've got 38 teams chasing after the 8 and the 9 right now. Is there anybody that is looking at this run in Leagues Cup, whether they're still in it or not, where you're sitting there going, man, I don't know if they need to do this right now? Is that Messi? I mean, is it Messi and friends? Did they
to still be playing?
Yeah. Or
yeah, I thought you were going the other way, and I was going to say Atlanta is a team that really needed right
absolutely.
Some games.
Yeah.
So they would be ruining being knocked out because you need to have some games, with the new Cats together. So yeah, maybe, but Miami, man, like they just don't like. You guys know what Tata, right? Like they're not going to punt. Like it's just, like
almost to a fault.
Yeah, 100%. Like, so perhaps it would have done them well to not still be around. But they're not doing it. They're not bringing an unhealthy Messi out, right? Like they even rotated in the group stage, right? Like saved legs, like the Tigres match. A good example where. And they did the same, right? You had like it almost. I think it was almost the same substitution, like where you get like Busquets coming out with Gignac, like who comes off the bench like that, right? But so he again, it's not a punt per se for them.
It's a squib kick.
Yeah, I guess, right. Like they're still. Now it'll be interesting for them, but yeah, no, I don't think they can do that kind of thing. I'm kind of looking through on who's still, Cincinnati, Columbus, NYCFC, like Orlando. Orlando's an interesting one too. I feel like Pareja just sort of finds a way in tournament play, right? Like he's got the formula to maneuver these knockout tournaments.
And everybody in Central Florida is going, bro, why can't you do that in the regular season? Where traditionally in the regular season, Oscar Pareja goes,
hey, look, he gets them to the playoffs, which is more than anyone else ever did.
True. That's true.
But, I guess I kind of a weird question for you. In the sense of last year we saw Nashville make a run to the final, literally to a shootout. And then they just kind of went back to being bad. If they did,
but I know,
got Gary Smith fired.
I know you did.
But
I'm watching them on a weekly basis with the new guy.
But make a squirt bottle for you. But of the teams that are still in this, any of the teams that we've seen struggling in MLS, are there any that you're looking at thinking that could be a team that does kind of a Nashville run where they've struggled in the regular season of MLS, but could be a fun, sneaky pick to make a run in this tournament?
Yeah, let me pull up the. I gotta pull up the old bracket.
I realize there's 32 teams to choose from. I apologize.
Well, no, because we're not talking Liga MX. We're not.
Yeah, fair.
I'm not gonna pull up Juarez as the team.
The Santos Laguna run is gonna make zero sense.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, let me see. Let me just pull this up. Use my old internets here for the brackets. Here's my bracket. All right, so because my answer without looking at the bracket was going to be New England, but I want to see where they are in said bracket.
Okay.
So New England, NYCFC, right, winnable, and then Tigres. So
thanks for playing.
Yeah, and then if you get by that, the Miami, Columbus. I mean, you know what? I don't know. Maybe Toronto, right? Maybe Toronto, New England is my answer of two teams that are in that rock fight for the 8-9, right? Or around that area, around a playoff line that could do something, right? Like it would be an upset, right, if Toronto beat Miami, but not a massive one, right? Because it's not full strength Miami, and then you play another MLS team, so Columbus, SKC, and now you find yourself, probably against Tigres, but at that point you are in the semifinal. So, so probably those. I don't, like DC. No, Philly's an interesting one though, right? Like they're playing their best soccer at the moment. So Philly, Cincinnati, and again too, they obviously have the history in these kind of competitions, whether it was Champions Cup or now Leagues Cup, of making these deep runs and playing these Mexican teams. So looking at that part of the bracket, that's a very, if you could beat Cincinnati there, who I would anticipate would beat Santos Laguna.
Yeah.
Why not? Right? Like it's not a at the bottom of that, like Cruz Azul. It's not like and I'm not saying they're going to beat Orlando even. Like that's one of the better matchups. I think one of the best matchups over the round of 32. But it's not that classic Cruz Azul team, right? So, why can't a Philly come out of that and that quadrant there and get to the quarterfinals or maybe a semifinal?
Yeah, and then low left, it could shape up to be a rock fight with El Tráfico, possibly in a semifinal. You could have Vancouver. Just don't tell Sartini that, but Sartini could have Seattle or LAG if he beats Pumas. Then you've got LAFC with your pesky Austin team. So, low left could present itself some problems. And then obviously you mentioned what's going on in the upper left with, Club America. And I think really
I would love to see them play Portland. I want Club America Portland, and I want that to be like 6-4.
Oh, I'm
because Portland can score.
What about the second 45 minutes?
America can score. Portland cannot defend. So
other than that, how was the play, Mrs. Lincoln? And so you mentioned Toronto, and I'll go ahead and ask this question. Does John Herdman survive the season? Because of the off-the-field stuff that has come out, and he decided to talk about it until he talked about it too much and then lawyered up, basically. Does he survive the season? Should he survive the season? Can he survive the season? For three separate questions with three separate prepositions or clauses attached to it. Because of everything that we have found out about what went on at Canada Soccer, then because of what John Herdman said in his press conference pre-Red Bulls, where he basically, you want to go ahead and say it, folks are accusing John Herdman of lying, because then they went to Rick Westhead and said, no, there was a meeting, and he said, watch this Honduran tape, and they didn't even win the damn match. But should John Herdman continue to be the coach, and will he make it to the end of the year?
All right, so how many questions do we have?
74. Should, can, would. Or, should, can, will, I guess.
I think he will.
Okay.
Unless he decides to step down. Like, unless he sort of falls on his sword kind of thing. Mm-hmm. But also I think the decision will be made easier if they do not make the playoffs.
Okay.
As well, right? Like, I think if they make the playoffs, if they're successful, I think it will make that decision a little bit more difficult.
Okay.
If that makes sense.
Yeah. So then should he, in your mind?
I don't know. I mean, it's two different. Is it apples and oranges? Like, is it two different fruits here? Something happened in his previous employee.
But in your current employ, you got called out by folks who said you basically lied.
Well, that's the problem.
And that's the thing.
For sure.
So I guess can and should would be one, and will is one, and then can and should, I guess, would be the same.
It's very tricky, right? Like, I mean, you hear in all different kinds of situations, like who is it in college football, right? Like,
narrow it down for me. Harbaugh.
Seriously, like who lied on their resume and they didn't do that, or
George O'Leary.
Yeah. So, yeah. So that makes, I mean, it's. I would say I don't know if I'd be surprised by any of those scenarios, right? Like I don't know, it's tricky.
Jarrett, wrapping up with Dylan Butler, what else is on your mind?
Oh man, well, I guess that's where I wanted to go, was kind of the status of that. I guess my final one is, I know you talked about Forsberg still being in the walking boot, and with the rise of what Red Bulls have done this year, I wanted to ask you about DC, because Troy Lesesne goes to DC, and look, they won their group in Leagues Cup. They've been better than I thought they would be in year one. Is this kind of one of those? It feels like this kind of situation where, like, everyone benefited. I love what Red Bulls is doing right now, and also Lesesne landed somewhere where it feels like he's succeeding. It feels like everybody won, and we don't get those stories often enough.
And ironically, that player that he has up top, that's who the Red Bulls need. They need Benteke, right? Like, they need that guy. And what for the way that he wants to play, Lesesne, like, how perfect. You cannot have a more perfect player up top than Benteke, right? Like, just lob balls up there, he'll head him in. You win these games. So yes, I agree with you. I think it's been better than anticipated, for sure. But they're still a weird team, like we know their style of play, but like, kind of, who are they? Are they your team? Are they a team that leans on their academy? Are they a team that's going after young players in South America? They're not spending big, right? So, there's a lot of questions there for them as well. But it is a better point at this. They're at a better point or spot at this point of the season than I think a lot of people anticipated.
What is going on with you, sir, MLSsoccer.com? And since we already got into the varsity media on the YouTubes and Media Day, by the way, it's next Friday for yours truly. The 16th is week 0, and that's when season starts next week. And so our first broadcast on GPB is on the 16th with 2 nationally ranked teams in Milton and Buford.
Oh, nice.
So we're kicking off with that. So what's the latest with you with stuff away from varsity media, which I know we'll be talking about all season long?
Yeah, no, it's Leagues Cup and Leagues Cup and more Leagues Cup. I was not on last night. I was on Saturday, Sunday, Monday. I'm on tonight, on tomorrow night. And somehow the Leagues Cup gods have given me a Saturday, really a weekend of no matches. So,
whoa,
I know.
Nicely done. At Dylan_Butler on the 280 character app. My friend, it's always great to catch up with you to get the national perspective of things and find out what's going on when it comes to Major League Soccer. We will catch up with you hopefully next week, if you're not flying around at 9,000 miles an hour, that I know that you absolutely do this time of year, doing coaching and doing the shuttling from one place to another and hanging out with MLS Soccer and Leagues Cup. It's always great to see you, my friend. We'll catch up with you soon.
Yeah. Cheers, guys.
There we go. He's grateful. That's the mug. And so that's Dylan. Jarrett, we got a half hour. We got some news to get into. Obviously, we haven't even gotten into what happened in Paris yesterday with the women's national semifinals in the 5-ring circus, where once again it took forever for the United States to get a goal on the board, but they do, and they end up making it to the gold medal match where Marta will have sat for her 2 matches, and she gets her swan song as Brazil got the Duke. And so it's going to be the U.S. and Brazil really trying to figure out, okay, who's got how much left in the tank and how much can you give me? I don't anticipate Emma Hayes doing any kind of substituting or anything like that, but it's going to be those 2.
This needs to be an entire conversation about the way we do soccer in the Olympics, because you are seeing players dropping like flies right now.
Mm-hmm.
I would like there to be this conversation, though, where we discuss, like, do we modify the way we do Olympic soccer? Do you get rid of it? Go to Olympic futsal or beach soccer or something like that. Because it's already, to me, very dumb that we have this setup where the women play everyone they want and the men just kind of piece this dish together as they go along.
Yeah.
I already think that's kind of dumb in the way we do it. But that being said, you're seeing players who are just gassed, man.
Yeah.
Like they don't have anything left in the tank. And you're playing, they're playing Saturday? Like, I don't know how you expect a high-quality game when you are running players into the ground. And I get it. Like, I know the Olympic Committee has basically the mental well-being of a chipmunk.
Yeah.
In terms of their decision-making bullshit. But yeah, man, like it's awesome that Marta's getting her swan song. I love that part. Mm-hmm. She's a legend. She deserves it. I'm very excited for her.
Yep.
I am at the same time eternally annoyed by the way the Olympics is handling soccer, because these players are going to come back to their teams. They're going to be gassed.
Mm-hmm.
The odds of injuries go up consistently. You're trying to squeeze an entire tournament setup into 2 weeks. Really, this is not sustainable, man. Like, change it. Play futsal. Like, have some fun with it.
I mean, it's or I don't know. Perhaps maybe you could like space it out a little better.
But you don't have time because the Olympics are 2 weeks long.
Start it early.
So do some. Well, but do some. Well, you're already losing guys and girls in different leagues around the world. The U.S. has their league set up. Like, you're already losing players for an extended period of time for the Olympics anyway. You gonna take them away for even longer?
Why not?
You play 3 games, then you go through, like, you basically do a World Cup style setup, but you do it over an extended period of time.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know, man. Like, why not just? Yeah, I don't know, man. Figure out something else.
Yeah. Yesterday, it was 1-0 in overtime. Sophia Smith scored in the 95th. And 21st goal for her country, 3rd of these games. Ann-Katrin Berger made 9 saves on the day. 10 shots on target from 19 attempts. Germany had 15 and 7. Possession 57-43 for the Americans. And looking at the ratings, Alyssa Nair, by the way. Alyssa Nair. Oh, good Lord. Going complete and total starfish save to preserve the lead on a point-blank moment. She got an 8 from our friends at Soccer America. Defenders, Naomi Girma has been referred to by Emma Hayes as the best defender on the planet, bar none. And we're seeing her continue to grow into that role. Numbers given, Emily Fox got a 5. Girma ends up getting a 9. Tierna Davidson and Crystal Dunn also got 5s on the board. Once again, this is the rankings from Theodore Lloyd Hughes at Soccer America. And this is kind of just the baseline that we do introducing this topic. And it's always open for debate from that particular point. Interception pass to Sam Coffey, genesis of the winning goal. Tackle she made after closing down and isolating Anyomi on the left wing. One of the highlights of the tournament. stopped a German attack there. Second half, Guillermo played one of the passes of the match, sent Swanson through on goal with a lofted through ball, almost had the match-winning assist. Swanson slotted it past the keeper, was a yard or two offside. Goal was wiped out, but Noma Guillermo continues to roll. You end up with Haran getting a 5, Sam Coffey, Rose Lavelle a 7 and a 6, respectively. But Lloyd Hughes, not a fan of the chemistry among Haran, Lavelle, and Coffey. Individually, they had their moments, but as a unit, felt like there was much to be desired from their combination play.
It's disjointed AF, man.
Yeah. Main culprits, yes, no doubt. Well, and it goes back to your original point that I'll circle back to. Rodman a 5, Swanson a 6, Sophia Smith a 7. Subs, Sonnet, Lynn Williams 5s, Corbin Albert, Jenna Niswanger 6s, Casey Kruger a 6. But I look at ratings like these, considering what you were discussing when we brought the topic in the first place. Middle to low numbers as we go further and further in a tournament, if you're rating folks, really should not be a surprise because you're going midweek weekend, 3 days later, 2 days later, having matches that are difficult watches because your players are gassed. Yes, of course, they're going to lend itself to these middling numbers from, observations of, folks that are sitting there either watching it in person from the stands or watching it on a television. Wiley, Rodman looked tired at the end of the game. Too good not to play her, though. Yeah, exactly. So that's the thing.
She was exhausted.
Yeah.
Because your format, you're squeezing this massive tournament into such a short amount of time.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how you expect them to consistently do the job.
Yeah.
I don't. Because it's exhausting. They're physically exhausted. They're mentally exhausted. You're gonna get look, you're about to get some sloppy ass game, and maybe it's fun. It can be both of those things. Maybe it's gonna be fun. True. I don't know.
Yeah,
but Sophia Smith looked absolutely spent when she scored that goal. They don't have anything left in the tank.
No.
And it doesn't help that Ace is really subbing people. But a lot of the hate, I agree. I wish she would sub.
It's very Berhalterian of her, yes.
So here's my thing, Emma Hayes. This is my thing with U.S. soccer in general. It wouldn't be U.S. soccer without everyone finding something to complain about after getting the coach that they wanted more than anybody else.
Oh, yeah, true. Absolutely.
And yes, you are within your right to be critical. That's fine.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, man, everyone is very quick to jump on the criticisms after getting the coach. And I'm sure we're going to get something. Was she the right choice if they don't win?
Yeah, of course you will.
Again, I'm not measuring her just on the Olympics because the Olympics are an absolute circus when it comes to the schedule.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Marta's going to be fully rested. That's right, because Marta's been sitting for 2
That's
games.
true. Absolutely, yeah. I mean, Marta's been sitting for a week. Yeah.
Marta's going to feel fine.
She's sat for a week.
Yeah, she's going to be right as rain, man.
Mm-hmm.
We will see.
Mm-hmm.
We will see. We'll see what kind of legs everyone has.
Shit.
I don't know, man. Get it to penalties and ask a listener to be a listener again.
Oh, there you go.
It's a damn brick wall.
Yeah, no doubt. So that's where it might end up going. But yeah, probably the under would end up being your play with this particular match. But yeah, 11 o'clock Saturday morning is the final with Brazil and the United States. And for those who are looking at what's going on here domestically, Current and Gotham advanced to the Summer Cup final. Current beat Courage 2-0. Timo Chawinga and Dabinia score for Current over Courage. Certain sense of irony there for Dabinia. But so Current and Gotham make it to the Summer Cup final. Did you see, speaking of national team stuff, and I want to try and get the quote, or at least the representation on the Twitters. Hugo Perez, on his account, basically he was dialing it up for anybody that wanted to see what was going on. He said, literally, he said, and this was yesterday, he posts to his 280-character app. I can say that I'm proud of the work I did and gave it all I had with my staff. Below is a summary of it, and it will continue to improve. So literally, he goes to Canva and posts a 45-page dossier of everything that Hugo has accomplished.
Here's my CV.
It is a 45-page compilation of still photos, PowerPoint presentations, and full screens. It is attacking concept. Literally, I don't know what page.
This man decided to do a LinkedIn open to work, but did it on Canva.
Yeah,
that's what he did.
Yeah,
that's what he did.
3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 20 attacking concepts available on page 8. Then defensive references, he has 3, 6, 9, 12 defensive concepts to go with his 20 offensive concepts. Then you have game principles. I'm literally clicking on this thing as we go. Game principles, zone 1 build, zone 2 principles. Literally you got 3 zones worth of principles, defensive principle constants, defensive transition principle constants, transition principles, data points. So data points start on what page? Data points start on page 16 of this 45-page Canva presentation. Data points, El Salvador World Cup qualifying roster comparison. He brought that out in the FIFA rankings, where El Salvador was 74th and listed 8th in CONCACAF. Final World Cup qualifying group to Qatar, 3rd in PPDA, defensive distance. Sample work, he has video in like 9 different things. He's got defensive phase video, training session video in this. So, I mean, honestly, if let's say Canada wanted to scout El Salvador under Hugo Perez, all they'd have to do is look at this Canva. They wouldn't have to go and use drones.
All I'm reminded of is a Patton Oswalt bit about when he worked in a casino where everybody was drunk, and they just basically, he's like, these people got really drunk and just shouted my career back at me for an hour. That's what's like. He's putting his career on Canva. He's open to work. That's fine. Yeah. It is what it is.
Yeah, but I thought that was it was interesting when Hugo Perez is like, "Yo, take a look."
Take a look, y'all.
He put it all out there, man.
Smith JPEG.
Yeah, with the flag of El Salvador and the World Cup qualifying, he put it out on a 45-page Canva that he is ready to work. So that was I thought that was interesting to say the very least. And we talked about Leagues Cup, and one of the concerns going forward is going to have to be attendance figures. And how many years do you sit there and say, okay, this is a growing tournament. We understand we're going to have growing pains. This is the terrible twos. We have venues that don't have a lot of folks. We have venues that have a lot of folks because of the drawing cards that are attached. Attendance, and where was it? I had the numbers. I think I had the numbers posted. Yeah. Okay. So Leagues Cup 2024 attendance, you had Chivas and Tigres 1 and 2, and this is from our friends at Reddit on the MLS side, and this is from 4 days ago. So you had Chivas hosting San Jose at Levi's for 50,000. Tigres hosting Messi and Friends at NRG, and they had 46. Atlanta had the 3rd highest attendance with the Pachuca match at 29-1. Seattle had 28.5, 26.5. Nashville with Mazatlan, tickets sold at 25.8. Chivas hosted Galaxy in California, in Carson. They were the host at 25.2. So you've got a lot of tickets sold. by the numbers. But then you end up with a DC United Santos Laguna match that got shifted to Chester, Pennsylvania. You only had 1,100 people in the barn.
Mm-hmm.
So played on the same day as Crystal Palace and Wolves in DC, Arsenal, Liverpool, and Philly. So literally, you were the second match in a city, and you only had 1,100 people show up.
Well, we know how everyone feels about Leagues Cup already. You've got supporters groups putting out entire statements, and in some cases, rolling those statements back. In which case, I don't know, stick to your guns if you believe in them that firmly.
Mm-hmm.
But for me, a lot of it is always the same thing of like, if we're going to do this, Leagues Cup, then are you going to keep sacrificing Open Cup? Because I promise you, there are a lot of people in this country who are going to have beef with that.
Mm-hmm.
And it's understandable that they would have beef with it. Open Cup means a lot to a lot of people. I've said my piece on this before, and that yes, I am one of those people who loves Open Cup. I am a sicko about it, but I'm also going to be perpetually annoyed if people decide to use Open Cup as their excuse to be mad at Leagues Cup, but they don't really give a shit about Open Cup.
Yeah.
And there are people who are going to do that. And it's a lazy, bad faith way to live your life, and it's kind of pathetic to me. However, MLS also needs to not, like, and Don Garber needs to not stick his foot in his mouth about Open Cup. And because look, the thing is that there's stuff you need to improve about Open Cup. There's stuff you need to, and some of that falls on U.S. Soccer, not just MLS.
Yeah.
U.S. Soccer can't. MLS is going to do some of the heavy lifting, but you can't ask them. I don't know that it's fair to ask them to do all of the heavy lifting. So you got to figure out that balance. If you're U.S. Soccer and MLS, and you need to work together on it. It can't be everyone sniping each other, because then nothing is going to get accomplished.
Right.
With everyone sniping and bitching at each other constantly, nothing is going to get accomplished. You're going to get more and more pettiness, more and more resentfulness out of the fan bases. And no one benefits from that.
No.
Like, look, Leagues Cup is... I don't know why it feels like it's a bad thing to argue, but Leagues Cup is fun to me. I think Leagues Cup is hilariously fun, in just the dumbest way possible. All the games have been absolutely bonkers. They've been stupid. They've been silly. They've been fun. It's fine. At the same time, I can acknowledge that. You can acknowledge it's a cash grab. Correct.
Yeah, it's a TV.
It is a cash.
Yeah.
This is a TV series. You're doing this in other leagues as well. Not sure if the NBA has an in-season tournament now.
Yeah.
Like, you don't have to love it, and I understand if you don't. But it's a thing that's happening. And on top of that, you have Open Cup kind of getting left in the wayside. And that's not fair to Open Cup. But it's also not fair to use it as your crutch. And you're going to have to find a way to balance this so that everyone can work together. And also recognize that, we have Leagues Cup. What is Leagues Cup? Leagues Cup can be fun, guys. I promise it can be.
Yep.
But you just don't want it to exist at the expense of something like Open Cup, which is such a fun history in this country, and both can exist. And you need to figure out your schedule.
Yeah.
You need to figure out
and your roster schedule. And your roster availabilities.
Yes. Yeah. You need to figure out both of those things if you are MLS in this. And find how you want to market this thing to make Leagues Cup more appealing, I guess, to people. Because it should be more. It should be more fun, more appealing, but don't do it at the expense of something like the Open Cup. Don't do it don't have all of this exist, and don't give people the room to make them feel like you might be questioning their intelligence as fans.
Yep.
If that makes sense.
Yeah.
Don't know if it does.
Yeah. And we mentioned the importance of Leagues Cup to some folks. You look at what it means to Liga MX.
Mm-hmm.
Rayados fired Tano Ortiz after they did not make it out of the knockouts. Monterrey fired Tano Ortiz.
There's a cultural aspect in this too, though. Yeah, I mean, we could go discuss it with our people who know more about the Mexican leagues and the culture down there. There's a cultural thing of you can't go down there. You can't go up there and get grouped in the United States. Don't care if it's on the road. And this, of course, is one of my beefs with, I wish they would find a way to diversify League Cup where they hold them. I'd love for them to be able to do some of these games in Mexico and not drag the Mexican teams up here.
Yeah, I think that a lot of that, once again, if we look at it as a television series, you're looking at production costs, production availabilities, the moving of
atmosphere,
crew availability. Oh, I'm not disputing. I would love to see this kind of stuff at the Azteca. I'd love to see this kind of stuff at Mazatlan. I'd love to see this at Monterrey. But I'm looking at it strictly as a television series, and you're controlling all of your elements in season 2 of a limited run television series, where if you're trying to control costs, then what you do is you have it under one umbrella, and the infrastructure that you have when it comes to television production. That's how I'm viewing everything being here on this side and having it all in U.S. venues, is because it's easier for Major League Soccer and for Leagues Cup to sit there and go, okay, we need to get a crew to jump to a venue quickly. What can we do? Okay, well, we've got our TV crews that are attached to Apple. We can scramble them. We can go here, and here. Once you're out of the group stage, it's easier to assemble and to send things one place or another as it would be otherwise.
Yeah, I think you can't give people the ammo to feel like you're questioning their intelligence.
Right.
That's how I feel about it.
Yeah.
It's they'll figure it out. The cynical take on this for me is that eventually they will figure out a way to just blunt Leagues Cup through the door so brutally.
Yeah.
That eventually it becomes part of the canon.
Mm-hmm.
You'll always get people who disagree with it. That's fine. I know it's a TV show at this point.
Yeah.
Acknowledge that. My thing is the games have been fun. They've been entertaining. It's given us those U.S.-Mexico matchups that we always talk about wanting, and I get to watch more of my team. This is the thing that always aggravates me with the Atlanta argument with, we deserve to get grouped. We don't deserve more games. Bullshit. I want more games. I want to watch more of the games. I want to watch the game I love, and I want to watch the team that we cover and that we love, and I want to watch them compete. I don't want to not have games because I'm trying to punish myself like I'm a damn toddler. I don't actually even want to go to games. I don't even want to play games.
Yeah.
I get that from my 7-year-old when she's throwing a fit. I don't need that from Atlanta United Twitter sphere or the godforsaken toxic cesspool as the Atlanta United Facebook page. I don't need to hear about, we don't even want games because we suck. No, I do still want to watch them. Are they struggling right now? Yeah. Do I want to see if they can pull themselves out of it? Yeah. Because Santos just did.
Yeah.
I mean, they did the thing that you were hoping to do, and they've been in a worse form. I don't want to listen to this. Well, we weren't actually good, so we don't deserve games. No, you might not want games. I do. I still want to watch these games. I still want to watch this team play. However it needs to happen, it needs to happen.
And so we'll have actually 2 matches tonight to start the round of 32.
By the way, Leagues Cup is going to run is I know we haven't really discussed this, but Leagues Cup does run into a similar problem that they do run into a similar problem with the Olympics, in that you were cramming this tournament in such a small amount of time.
Mm-hmm.
That's why we talked. I think we talked yesterday or today. I don't remember what days are. I talked about it with Bart, but you're going to get into a situation where, like, the teams that got grouped are going to be at a slight advantage, especially like the RSLs of the world, who are really good. They'll be a slight advantage. They're going to be rested for a month.
Yeah.
They're going to end up playing some team that, like, play deep into the tournament and has no gas left in the tank, because you are playing this tournament in such a short amount of time. It's exhausting.
Yep. Juice boxes tonight. No surprise. LAFC big favorite at home at a -270, hosting Austin. Austin in the composite, courtesy of our friends at Odds Portals, basically a +650. Vancouver at home against Pumas, slight favorite at a +140.
Vancouver is very, very likely to play a very dumb game.
Vancouver at a +140. Pumas on the road at a +188. Your draw is a +233. So since you mentioned the possibility of a dumb game, let's go to the totals. Over under at 2.5, a -139. 3.5 is a +172. So if you're thinking dumb game, I'd take the over under and go over at +172. That's what I'm staring at. If you're looking at totals, try that one. And if you're really ambitious, 4.5 is a +391. I think 3.5 is a solid play on the plus side at +172. So keep an eye on that. Once again, I think both of those are on the free side of Apple TV tonight. They are. So both of them at 10:30. So 10:40-ish kick for LAFC, Atlas, Vancouver, and Pumas. Then everything starts in earnest tomorrow, 7:30 with Messi and Friends in Toronto FC. Leagues Cup with Tigres and Pachuca at 9 o'clock. 10:30 has Seattle and LAG. San Jose and the Coxa is an 11 o'clock start. Those alternating between season pass and the free side of Apple TV. So what to watch, where to watch it, how to watch it. There won't be any there won't be any female Olympic stuff today, but you got Leagues Cup late.
Saturday.
Yeah, that's Saturday morning at 11. Sturm Graz and PSG is on BN at 12:30. If you don't have BN, you can get BN, CDO, Nuestra Tele TC for the fans, Gold TV, and our buddy Nino Torres will be joining us tomorrow to talk about stuff in soccer over there at 10 o'clock. You can get that at Fanatis, fntz.co/soccer down here. Helps them out with subscribers, helps us out as well, and helps you out with your true degenerate nature, because now apparently second division Ecuador has been added to Fanatis. So we've got that. USL Championship tonight. Detroit City hosting Pittsburgh Riverhounds. That's at 7 o'clock on CBS Sports Network. BN Espanol simulcasting the friendly at 12:30. ESPN Deportes has friendlies at 2:30. It is Real Betis and Raja Casablanca, Southampton and Lazio. I don't know how they're going to do two at the same time. Plus has friendlies Lazio and Southampton is at 2. Betis and Cadiz at 3:30. Indy 11 Rhode Island FC and our buddy Michael Parkhurst. That's at 7 on the plus. League One Chattanooga and Spokane Zephyr is at 7:30. Fox Soccer Plus, Central American Cup. True degenerate nature of the Central American Cup. Dirianjan, Herediano, Motagua, San Francisco, Comunicaciones, and our friends at Alianza at 6, 8, and 10. Golazo Network has a friendly between Inter and Al Ittihad at 2:30. Paramount Plus is simulcasting that as well. And so that is your viewing. That is your stuff. I'm trying to think if there was anything else that we did not get to cover today. I think we got everything that I had written down. Let's see. Just for the record, we are going to be rolling out our college previews. We are going to be covering a bunch of the teams here in the state. A lot of lower divisions in collegiate soccer or in the Southern States Athletic Conference, the Peach Belt, Georgia Southern. We're going to be catching up with Georgia State. Emory, Oglethorpe, all of the above. There's like 30 schools here in the state that have soccer that is kicking off in the next couple of weeks. So we'll be checking in on all of that. We're also going to be diving into the UPSL semifinals and final. We're going to try and reserve the 10 o'clock hour on Friday for the 4 teams that are in the UPSL Final Four. Someone that you know will be calling those matches on the weekend on BN up in Pittsburgh. No word on if Bob Lilly's going to be yelling at Highmark. For those,
Bob Lilly comes with the territory, man.
That's true. Rochester, NYFC, Soda City FC. Jarrett, you know all about Soda City.
Soda City has yet to play a normal game.
That is true. Inland Empire FC.
Highly recommended.
Yes. Inland Empire FC is going to be joining us at 10 o'clock on Friday morning. We're going to try and reserve the 10 o'clock hour for the UPSL Championship preview, and Dodge City Toros. That's your Final Four in the UPSL. They're heading to Pittsburgh. The games will be on BN. Doubleheader on Friday, doubleheader on Sunday. And so we'll keep an eye on that. But we're going to be catching up with as many of the 4 clubs as possible on the 10 o'clock hour on Friday. Tomorrow, 9:15, we're going to catch up with our friends at Coastal Outreach Soccer. It's their 20th anniversary, and we're going to find out how they've been navigating what's been going on the coast. They were digging out from Debbie yesterday when I caught up with Coach Sean Williams. And so we're going to be catching up with our friends at Coastal Outreach at 9:15. Then it's the Nino and Nico show in hour number 2, where we will talk about what's going on with Leagues Cup with Nico and find out what's going on in Nino's brain when it comes to Libertadores and Sudamericana and all of that. So, we're going to be flying around the next couple days. It's going to be very, very cool. Talking about a bunch of topics and a lot of stuff and transfers, gossip, rumor, and innuendo. And I know, David, second division, it's true. Honestly, Fanatis is for the true sicko.
Oh, yeah.
The legit sicko.
It's not for the faint of heart.
No, it is not. So, I mean, literally, I could have 6 matches from the Brasileiro lined up, and I can go bang, 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 and just watch them all if I wanted to. The LPF is there. South American soccer is there in full bore. You can watch TIC with all of their madness and how they cover things in Argentina. Goal TV with our buddy Nino Torres. And Goal TV gives you stuff going on in Europe. The Portuguese league is the Portuguese. The Primera is on Goal TV, and so it is an app for true sickos. Jason got me hooked. I blame him, and so it'll be tomorrow. Like I said, our friends from Coastal Outreach and the Nino and Nico show in hour number 2 as we work our way through the week here, because there's a lot going on in a lot of different places, and so it's trying to figure out what we can cover, how we can cover it, and give you all the news of the morning and everything, all that like that. So once again, thanks to all of you guys. Actually, I forgot to say hi to everybody. So I am truly remorseful about that. Morning, Alex. Morning, Derek. Yeah, in the Jose Mourinho discussion, Alex goes, Jose Mourinho through the back door. Wait, that sounds bad. Morning, Emilio. Let's see. Morning, David. Morning, Pars. Let's see. So, morning, David and Emilio. Emilio had some really cool Mets references from the mid to late 70s on the show today. Morning, Wiley. Morning, Derek. And once again, morning, David. Trying to convince David about watching Second Division Ecuador. Legitimately, when you watch the Second Division in South American soccer, it literally looks like a Sergio Leone set.
I don't think you have to convince anybody.
No, but it's like
you'll stumble across and you'll be fine.
Yeah.
There's no convincing that has to take place here.
Yes.
It's fine. That's what it is.
True, but it does look like at times that they are in cities that are carved into Sergio Leone sets from the spaghetti westerns that he directed back in the 1960s. And then there's like all these homes on mountainsides, and then there's a soccer pitch in the front of the camera, in front of the screen. So it's great vistas, cool environments, and sickos matchups. So back at it again in less than 22. Thanks to all of you guys. Thanks to Tyler. Thanks to Dylan. And thanks to all of you for hanging out with us and letting us know what's on your mind as we're here in the transfer window, taking all of the reports and rolling with them and analyzing them as we go. So, Jarrett, since you are here and have made it to the end of the show, sir, whistle us out of here.